Inquire into the nature of truth. Abandon falsehood. Falsehood here is all our ideas, all our stories about ourselves, all our stories about the world. You're ever free. Why do you call yourself bound and then grieve? The self is infinite. Why, how, and by whom is it bound? The nature of infinite consciousness is the nature underpinning your very being. Given that that is so, why feel limited? There is no division in the self, for the absolute Brahman is all this. What then is called bondage, and what is liberation? It is only in a state of ignorance that you think you experience pain, though you are untouched by pain. These things do not exist in the self. Well, that's a nice idea, isn't it? Being untouched by pain. I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. Let the body fall or rise, or let it go on to another universe. I am not confined to the body. Then how am I affected by all this? The relation between the body and the self is like the relation between cloud and wind, like the relation between lotus and the bee. When the cloud is dispersed, the wind becomes one with space. When the lotus withers, the bee flies away into the sky. The self is not destroyed when the body falls. Even the mind does not cease to be until it is burnt in the fire of self-knowledge, not to mention the self. Death is but the veiling by time and space of the ever-present self. Only foolish people fear death. So, let the body fall or rise, or let it go on to another universe. I am not confined to the body, then how am I affected by all this? So it seems to be putting forward quite an intriguing notion here, doesn't it? The idea that if you're rooted in the self, then you're somehow impervious to everything that's going on, to the point that you're so rooted in the self that the body falls away and then takes on a new life, maybe in this world or more likely in another universe. We need, and you think, well, let's go for it then, eh? Let's go for it. And we've got to be so careful here. We're entering into what I would call the spiritual romance. The spiritual romance is ideas about spirituality. You know, it's like the idea of the Buddha sitting there in meditation. You think, yes, that's what I want. I want what he's got. And you start going for it, doing lots of meditation. This is the romance of spirituality. It's so wonderful and enticing, but it's absolutely nothing to do with spirituality. Just to get back to this thing about the possibility of maintaining awareness through death. Well, if you can maintain awareness through death, maintain a sense of your absolute self, then you should be able to do that through sleep. After all, sleep should be much easier to be aware in death. Death just seems so permanent, doesn't it? But you know, maybe you could even try it for a nap. Take a little nap. Can you be aware through that nap? Can you maintain a sense of continuity, of awareness through the nap? Well, how about even just maintaining a sense of continuity and awareness for 5 minutes, even while you're awake? Or even try it for 1 minute. Try to maintain continuity of awareness for 1 minute. An awareness of self, an awareness of being, before you start thinking about all the techniques that you need to do in order to be aware through the point of death. Just try being aware from one moment to the next. Because what's happening with this kind of teaching, with this possibility of a spiritual romance, with the idea that you can sit down, meditate, and then get enlightened, it's a story. It's a story, and when you're following a story, you're not going to get into, you're not going to get to actuality. You're not going to get to reality. You don't get to reality by following a story. You get to reality by observing your penchant for following a story. And that's what I would mean by spirituality, is reality. Reality is right here in the moment. Infinite potential is realized right here in the moment, and that's what you can be open to. Any idea that it's something you have to work towards by following certain techniques, by following a certain teacher or teaching, that's just a story you're following. I mean, and if you're interested in say, mental development, some kind of self-empowerment or self-help stuff, then sure, stories can be very, very useful. And go for it. Go for it if that's what you want to do. Go for it. Go for developing your mind. You know, if you want to develop your body, if you want to go and do yoga or work out in the gym, go and do that. You know, that's what you want to do. These things are not spirituality, though. I mean, it depends. You can call it spiritual if you want, but as far as I'm concerned, and as far as what it seems to me that Yoga Vasistha is concerned, spirituality is not following stories. It's not pursuing goals. It is being open to the infinite potential that is happening here, right now, and you can be open to it right now. You can be open to your sense of being. You can be open to your awareness, which is which is no different from any awareness. Is just awareness. It is universal. It's cosmic. This is your awareness. This is your I am. It's open. It can be open. You can be open to it right now. The infinite potential is happening right now. It's realizing itself right now, here in this moment. And if you want to pursue a story, that's up to you. And we've got to be careful here with the Yoga Vasistha, because it's full of wonderful stories, and it knows it. It knows it. Abandon your latent tendencies, even as a bird wishing to fly into the sky breaks out of its shell. Born of ignorance, these tendencies are hard to destroy, and they give birth to endless sorrow. It is this ignorant, self-limiting tendency of the mind that views the infinite as the infinite. It's that tendency that gets caught up in stories. However, even as sun dispels mist, inquiry into the nature of the self dispels the ignorant, self-limiting tendency. In fact, the very desire to undertake this inquiry is able to bring about a change. Important point now. Austerities and such other practices are of no use in this. No matter what else it says in Yoga Vasistha, here we have the point. Austerities and such other practices are of no use in this. When the mind is purified of its past by the arising of wisdom, it abandons its previous tendencies. The mind seeks the self only in order to dissolve itself in the self. This indeed is in the very nature of the mind. This is the supreme goal, Ram. Strive for this. At this stage, another day came to a close. You strive for it every moment, moment to moment. You do it. You don't just strive for it, you do it.